What's up guys, welcome back to another T&L video. So this is gonna be my last BD video for some time I guess, because I'm actually not having any fun right now and I stopped playing the game. I don't know when I will start playing it again, but for now I just paused it because I really need a break from DBD. But I promised you that I would still put out a looping guide, and yeah, here we are. Also a really big thank you to Buff. He helped me to record the video and man, this took some time to record, so I'm sorry to have stolen your time, Buff. But yeah, thank you so much, dude. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video, write a comment for the algorithm, and maybe share the video with your friends, because these guide videos can really help to make my channel grow bigger. But yeah, I don't want to annoy you any longer, so let's just hop right into the guide. And I really hope you enjoy this video. Alright, so first of all, to be able to loop, you need to look behind yourself. I see so many people still not looking behind themselves when they are looping, and you need to do this, otherwise you will never be able to loop a killer. So just try to look behind yourself while you are in chase. That way you can see the killer's movement, like you can see when he's doubling back and when not, and you can react to the killer's movement just by looking behind yourself. So there's actually no way that the killer can mind game you or anything. And the second thing you need to do when you want to run a killer, you need to hug the walls or the objects as tight as possible, because if you run them in a wide way, like shown right here, then the killer gains a lot more distance on you and the chase will be much shorter. But if you run the walls very tightly, then you will be able to get a couple more like loops out of the loop, and it will just extend the chase much longer if you do this consistently. So yeah, if you want to loop any killer in the game, then you need to do these two very basic things, otherwise you will not be able to loop a killer. But yeah, if you do that, then you should be good, and I would say let's get into the first tile. Alright, starting off with the probably most common tile, it's the shack. You can find the shack on almost any map. I think the only maps that you can find the shack on are like indoor maps and maybe like Haddonfield. But on basically every map there's a shack. The shack is built pretty simple. It has a main entrance, a window and a pallet. And it's a really strong tile for the survivors. The pallet in the shack is also called the God pallet because once it's thrown down, the killer basically has to break it because there's no way he can mind game it or anything. And you as a survivor basically want to loop the shack so that you go through the main entrance and vault the window with a fast vault and repeat the same step over and over again. That's the way you want to run the shack. So right here in the background you can see me vaulting the window just 3 times. That's like the most common way to run the shack. But good killers will not let that happen and will probably try something else. So good killers will do to counter this is they will basically show the red stain through the main entrance, and you will think they would go through the main entrance, but then they actually double back and you're basically forced to throw down the shack pallet, or if you wanna greet it then you must take a hit, I guess. So if you know that the killer you're going against is pretty good, then you basically have to expect this mind game at some point. And what you can do then is basically just fake the window and watch out for the red stain if he actually doubles back. And when he does, then you are inside the shack and the killer is standing in front of the window like an idiot. If the killer then decides to vault the window from the outside, then you're basically stuck in a situation where if you would go through the main entrance again, then you would have to do like a little mind game outside, but that is kinda risky. So the much safer play to do is go through the shack pallet, run around the shack, go through the main entrance again, and then you're basically back in the situation where you can fast vault the window from the main entrance again, and then you can like repeat the whole process. Also, another thing that I should quickly mention is you don't ever want to throw down that shack pallet. It's called a God pallet for a reason. And if you're looping the shack, try to keep it up as much as possible. Try to greet it and go through like the window and try anything to keep it alive basically. Because like I said, it's one of the strongest pallets in the game and you wanna keep it up. Alright, so next we're gonna talk about jungle gyms. There are two types of jungle gyms. There's a long wall jungle gym, which we will cover now, and there's also a short wall jungle gym, which I will come back to later. So a jungle gym basically has a couple of walls, and it always has one window and one pallet, and also a couple of lockers that you can maybe get a locker safe on, but it's not relevant for the video. Alright, so the most common way to run the long wall jungle gym is you basically want to loop the window from the inside, then go around the jungle gym and go back to the pallet and repeat the whole process over and over again. That's basically how you want to run a killer on this gym. However, what most killers will do is they will just cut your way out through the middle and then you're forced to throw it on the pallet, or if you want to be greedy then you can go for a window fake or just take the hit. Here's a quick example of when you throw it on the pallet. Alright, let's come to the short wall jungle gym. In my opinion, the short wall gym is a bit weaker than the long wall gym, but it's still really strong as it is a jungle gym. It once again has a window and a pallet and also two lockers. And the most common way to run this is you go through the window, enter the jungle gym again, go through the pallet, go around this wall, and then just enter the window again and do this like until the window gets blocked. That's the most common way to run it. One thing that killers can do is after you vault the window, then the killer can go around the wall and then you're basically forced to go the other way. In my case, the killer vaulted back and I could go around the jungle gym again in the way that I want to run the killer on. But usually the killer will follow you, and then you have to decide if you want to vault the window or if you want to throw the pallet. Alright, so here we have the same thing again. I vaulted the window and the killer went around it. But this time the killer actually followed me and I decided to vault the window. But the killer did a red stain mind game and I vaulted the window and I was forced to throw it on the pallet or take a hit, one of both. And what you as a survivor can do against that is basically just fake the window again, and the killer will just double back and you will end up in a situation where you can run back to the pallet and basically repeat the loop. Alright, let's come to the Pallet Gym. A Pallet Gym is basically a gym where you have a short wall and a long wall, and in between those two walls there's a pallet, and yeah, there's not much to it. Alright, so the most common way to run this is you basically just run around the long wall, and that's it. Like, there's not much to it. Just watch out for the red stain, just look that the killer doesn't mind game you, and yeah, that's it. This is a really mind gameable loop, and the most common mind game that killers do is they show the red stain and then just double back. And if you just watch out for the red stain, then you can easily counter this. And another mind game that is really good, that only good killers do when they know that they are worse than good survivors, is they show their red stain, pretend to double back, and the good survivor obviously looks out for this, but then the killer continues to come from this direction and gets an easy hit on the survivor. However, only good killers will know about this, so it's not really common, but I still wanted to cover it. Alright, the good old T&L Walls, here we are. So, they are called T&L Walls because, as you can see on the map, one wall is shaped like a T and the other one is shaped like an L. Both of these walls have one window each, and this tile is like the most mind gameable tile in the game. If the killer plays it correct, you basically have to do a 50-50 decision at some point, and that's very unsafe. So the most optimal way for a survivor to run this is you basically vault through one window and then you just go clockwise to the other window. And if the killer isn't really good, he will just go around, and that's basically the best scenario you can get. So what a good killer will do is they will cut you off through the middle, and then you're in a 50-50 situation, and then it just comes down to luck if you win it or not. Alright, so let's talk about the fun bus. The fun bus has two variants. This one is a slightly worse one. It has a window on the back side of the bus, and then there's also a pallet next to a rock. So like I said, this variant is slightly worse than the other one, but it's still not bad. So the most optimal way to run this loop is you vault through the window, go around the bus, and basically repeat the same step over and over again. And if the killer is following you, then that's really good. However, what will happen most of the time is when you vault the window, the killer will just go around the bus and he catches up much faster, and then you're basically forced to throw it on the pallet or try to greet it, but there's not much more you can do. Hey guys, I'm editing the video right now and unfortunately I cannot find the other file of the fun bus with the good window. I don't know where it is, but I definitely know that we recorded it, but unfortunately I just cannot find it right now. So I will put a link of another video in the description where you can see how to loop the fun bus with the good window. I'm really sorry that I couldn't show it to you in the video, but I still want to upload a video today, so I will just put a link of a video in the description and you can go check that out. Thank you guys so much. Alright, let's talk about the crane. So the crane is a vehicle and it has a staircase that leads up to a window. And it also has some cars stacked up at the side, and in between those two things there's a pallet. Alright, the most optimal way to run this, pretty simple. Just go up the stairs, vault the window, and in the best case scenario, the killer will just follow you on the vault window. And you can do this 3 times until the window gets blocked. And yeah, that's the best way how to run this loop. What will sometimes happen is that the killer will just double back, and if you accidentally vault the window, then the killer probably gets an easy hit or you're forced to throw it on the pallet. What you can do against it is just fake the window, and then the killer will probably come up the stairs because he didn't hear you vaulting the window, and then you can actually vault the window and probably get away with it. Obviously you can also loop the pallet. For example, if you fall for the double back, then you can try to greet the pallet and just try to loop around the pallet a bit, since it is part of the crane. I wanted to also cover it. Alright, I also want to quickly talk about filler pallets. Filler pallets are just, like the name says, they're just some filler pallets that you can throw in between your normal loops. Like in my opinion, the best use for a filler pallet is when you loop the shack, for example, and you want to move away to a different tile, and then you find a filler pallet in between. You can use that, you can loop around that for a couple of seconds, and then move on to the tile that you wanted to move on originally. On the filler pallet itself, you basically just have to watch out for the killer's movement. Like, watch out for some potential double bags or something. Like, just watch out for the stuff that the killer does. And then once you threw down the pallet, just move on to a different tile. Alright, but even if you know all that stuff, it's not gonna make you a good looper. What actually makes you a good looper is having the ability to chain all the stuff together. What you see in the background right now is just a normal 1v1 that I had against Puff. And in that 1v1 I tried to chain all the stuff that you learned in this video together to have a very long lasting chase. Because even if you know how to loop all the different tiles, if you just loop each tile one by one, you will probably not have such a good chase. What I would recommend you to do is just go in a custom game with one of your friends and ask them to play killer. And then you can have a normal 1v1 and just try to chain as much stuff together and try to play as efficient as possible. That's what makes a good looper, and that's how you get some long ass chases. And if you came here thinking that after the video you will be a perfect looper, that's not true. Learning looping takes much time. I remember back when I was really bad at the game, dude, I couldn't do shit. And it took me some months to learn how to loop, so just try to consistently improve over time. And you will notice that after a month or 2, you will be much better at looping. And I really hope I could help you guys with this video. I know I'm not the best at explaining stuff, but I tried my best and hopefully it worked out. I will just let this chase play out and then we come to the outro. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I really hope I could help you guys with this video. Like I said, I'm not very good at explaining, but I tried my best and hopefully you will get better at looping now. Like I mentioned in the intro already, I also have a Discord channel now. The link of that will be in the description. And if you want to do me a big favor, then please hit the subscribe button and maybe write a comment for the algorithm. It would honestly help my channel so much. Also, big thank you to Buff again, dude. I love you so much, bro. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.